Now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome. This is Politics Inside the Niger Delta, program where we'll tell you all about the political happenings in Nigeria's oil-rich region. I am Mamode Akuga. Tonight on the program, we'll highlight one of the salient political issues that will most likely shape the outcome of the 2019 general elections in the Niger Delta. For a start, we're going to take a look at the allegation in some quarters that the Niger Delta is the source of huge funds used to secure victory in major elections in the country, using the just concluded governorship election in Ekiti State as a guide. And then we'll tell you about restructuring and the clamor for that restructuring from the Niger Delta and how it would most likely influence voters in the Niger Delta on who they vote for as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Many thanks for joining me on the program. Politics Inside the Niger Delta will be back in just a moment.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Welcome back. Ekiti State may not be geographically affiliated to the Niger Delta, but the outcome of the Saturday 14 July governorship election has a lot to do with the region. The votes buying allegation trailing the process has become a controversial issue as most political actors in the country are beginning to question the source of huge funds used to induce voters in Ekiti State. Speaking recently in this medium, a governorship aspirant in Delta State and stalwart of the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, Dr. Cairo Ojugbo, allegedly linked the source of the funds used to perpetrate electoral perfidy in Ekiti State to the 13% derivation funds accruing to Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Rivers states.
The monies that the PDP used to buy votes in Ekiti came from 3 states. In Delta State, a private jet owned by a man called Dumebi left Asaba for Ekiti. In Akwa Ibom, in Rivers, and that is how a lot of money moved from 13% derivation. The internally generated revenue of Delta State is a minimum of 32 billion per month. What is declared is less than 6 billion. From 32 billion to 6 billion. Where does this money come from? The oil companies, they pay a lot of taxes. And oil services companies, the major oil companies, and all of us, and all of them. In Rivers, in Delta, in Akwa Ibom. That is not part of the 13% derivation. So, if you are talking, even in the 2019 election, they are already focused on how these 3 states will fund the election and buy votes. What the APC's formula, the PDP's formula of rigging is very easy. And look at it this way: if you bring police, PDP will buy it. You bring army, they buy it. Any vote that touches the ground, PDP will buy it. The people of Ekiti are very good people. They are very educated. They are modest. So if anybody is inducing them before the election, there were a lot of intimidating tactics and policies that the state government put in place. And the people wanted to be freed. So this is an election that ordinarily freed them. So the voting there did not only mean vote buying, it also meant intimidation from the sitting government, the local government, the government there in the state in Ekiti.
This allegation has, however, been dismissed as misleading and untrue by the Rivers State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Barrister Emmanuel Oka.
It's very unfortunate that a man like Dr. Cairo Ojugbo would make such irresponsible allegation against Rivers State government to the effect that Rivers State government was funding the PDP in the Ekiti State during the elections to the point of buying votes and all of that. Yes, I had it, and I was thoroughly amused. It just clearly goes to show, how bad the polity had become polluted. A character like Cairo definitely was there when Senator Modu Sherif was the chairman of of the PDP, and thereafter pulled out, and Cairo Ojubo joined him and pulled out. And so we know where he is today politically. We know his opinions about PDP, and we know that he can never say anything positive about the PDP. But to cut a long story short is that he lied, he has no facts, he just wanted to make a jest of himself by putting up allegations which he knows he has no facts to back up. The Rivers State government did not at any time send any money to Ekiti State, nor indeed procure anybody to buy votes using Rivers State money in Ekiti State during the elections. So Cairo Ojubo's allegation is baseless and most irresponsible. Why did it take him so long to speak up? He was a member of PDP until recently. If he was there and saw atrocities going on, economic atrocities going on the way he's alleging, the question we should ask him, if you were not comfortable with what was going on, assuming those things were going on, why did you keep quiet? Why did you accept the situation until he was pushed out of the PDP and now he starts talking? So for me, there's no point taking such opinions serious. Like I said, it's the fair weather politics and the stomach infrastructure politics that the person of Cairo Ojubo, has come to represent in the present polity.
Emmanuel Oka, however, confirms that funds from the Rivers State government were used to facilitate the election for the APC in 2015.
Rivers State government has never stopped saying that yes, part of the money used for the 2015 elections, of the APC, came from the Rivers State coffers, and we have always insisted that that is the position.
The reported case of cash for votes in Ekiti State has received wide condemnation from Nigerians and the international community. It is in the opinion of most observers that the trend must be completely jettisoned with the 2019 general elections fast approaching. In our subsequent editions, we will investigate and report on the allegations of Niger Delta funds, especially the 13% derivation being used to finance elections across the country. Keep it with us on that. Next on our lineup is a feature capturing the debate on restructuring and how it will influence Niger Deltans and how they vote in the 2019 elections. This special feature will be brought to you in just a moment.
Inside the Niger Delta.
The desirability or otherwise of a restructured federation has remained one of the most controversial issues in Nigeria's national discourse over time. On the eve of the 2015 general elections, proponents and opponents of a reconfigured federalist structure had engaged in an ideological warfare that has continued to polarize the country till date. Some of the major combatants in the fray include notable politicians, frontline academics, the human rights community, and other opinion leaders, all canvassing diametrically opposite approaches to resolving the national question. Nigeria's national question is essentially about an unhealthy rivalry among the country's federating units, attempting to get a fair share of its crude oil and gas resources, commonly referred to as the national cake. Over the years, the scramble for an equitable share of the nation's wealth has not only bred mutual suspicions among the federating units, it has also fueled the political instability and many social contradictions in the system.
Some people can deceive some of the people some of the time. They can deceive some of the people all the time. They can deceive all the people some of the time. But they cannot deceive all the people all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, we from Akwa Ibom State, we stand resolute, we stand determined to protect our God-given right, and we will not surrender. And I appeal to all our brothers and sisters from the Federation of Nigeria to stand firm, to resist all forms of oppression and injustice. The time is now to restructure Nigeria.
Participants at the South-South Mega Rally, organized recently in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital, by the Pan-Niger Delta Elders Forum PANDEV, had cause to clear the air on the real intentions of the campaign for a restructured federation. Contrary to the fears and reservations expressed by opponents of the campaign for a reviewed federal system of government in Nigeria, Governor Henry Serake Dixon observed that a restructured federation will bring about social engineering and reposition the country on the path of economic prosperity and political stability, the same path Nigeria once trod with the pre-independence and post-independence constitutions that were in operation before the military forcefully captured the reins of power in Africa's most populous country.
People who are far away may just talk of restructuring as a slogan or as an ideal. Here in this state, here in this region, we feel the pains of it. We live with it, we have lived with it for decades and decades. And so when there is a call to reorganize our country and make it more stable, make it more equitable, make it more just, and therefore make it more prosperous, we in Bayelsa State, we in the John Nation are totally in support of that.
At the forum, Governor Dixon had made it abundantly clear that the campaign for restructuring does not amount to any form of agitation for national disintegration, but is rather conceived to address structural imbalances and social injustice in the system, as well as galvanize Nigerians to embrace an indissoluble union established in accordance with the principles of fairness, equity, and common humanity.
And no blackmail, no intimidation should sway us to abandon this noble cause. Our nation is crying for justice. Our nation is crying for freedom. Our nation is crying for prosperity. Our nation is crying for unity. Unity that is sustainable. Unity that is founded on justice.
Governor Dixon had also at different occasions insisted that the 2019 elections will in fact be some kind of referendum on restructuring.
The issue of restructuring is about the survival and well-being of our people. It's about the stability and coexistence of our country. These issues are beyond partisan divides. They are far more important than political party affiliations. Restructuring is an issue that we just are passionate about because we know the price that our people have been paying for Nigeria's unbalanced and unfair federal structure. The next election, the 2019 general election, for us as the job people, for us in the Niger Delta, is going to be a referendum on restructuring. The 2019 general election will be about restructuring because it affects the well-being and survival of our people. And we have agreed to support candidates who are genuinely committed to seeing about a restructured and a fairer Nigeria.
This position is amplified by the Ijaw Youth Council president, who doubles as President General of the Niger Delta Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leaders Forum, Comrade Owelaimi Pereotubo.
For us as a people, the next round of election in 2019 for us is a referendum. For Ijaw people, the next election is a referendum. For the Niger Delta people, the next election is a referendum. That is to say that we are going to vote for aspirants and our candidates who believe in restructuring. Anybody who is against restructuring is an enemy and will push you out of Nigeria.
No doubt there will be Niger Deltans whose vote for a presidential candidate will be influenced by that candidate's promise of restructuring. There are, however, other people who believe that the candidates must be able to offer much more.
If a candidate believes in restructuring, a presidential candidate, it's also likely that people like us will support him or her because that is what we believe in, and that is what we believe that can make Nigeria move forward. And such candidates, well, considering other things, can get my vote.
You know, a federal system where constituents deal with certain issues that concern the locality. So a national government will have to deal with security, foreign affairs, education, and just a few things. So Nigeria is already getting to the point where you cannot function if you do not imbibe a true federal system. So it's not about a candidate talking about restructuring. No army in the world can stop an idea whose time have come. The idea in this country today is about restructuring. And so no individual can stop it. Look at it. States cannot pay salaries. It's because the ingredients that will support a state to be able to sustain itself are not there in the kind of unitary system we are practicing. So it is only common sense that if you are doing something for 50 years and you are not getting results, you must change it. Where Nigeria is now is in the point where the country must begin to restructure itself in order to deal with security, in order to deal with unemployment, in order to deal with the economy. You need, for instance, how can you say that you'll be building a refinery in Katsina, whereas there are no refineries in the south? There are no, the ones that are in the south are not even functioning. But in a restructured system, it is only common sense that refineries are built nearest to the raw material. It is only common sense that power plants are put nearest to where the gas is. So ordinarily, we are moving to the point where you not doing these things leads to a collapsing society. And Nigeria is collapsing in terms of security, it's collapsing in terms of economy. It is time for us to change our modus operandi. And so any candidate who wants to take the mantle of leadership of Nigeria must already fine-tune his mindset towards restructuring. If he doesn't, he will have himself to blame.
Voting for a candidate that promises all restructuring is just like a very good case study. Like what I said earlier on, where is the candidate coming from? Has he been in government? Why didn't that particular candidate, talk of restructuring about it when that particular person was in government? If other candidates are coming on board and talks about restructuring, let us look at his body language. Let us look at his eyes. Let us look at his mouth. It is from the eyes to the mouth that you can really deduce the sincerity of a candidate that's coming with a lot of campaign promises. You know, in this our country, we have campaign promises that are not being kept. So this might be another deceptive campaign promises that is being promised Nigerians. But let us know the particular candidate that is coming on board to talk about restructuring.
The clamor for restructuring, without a shadow of doubt, resonates the most in the Niger Delta, which is at the forefront of agitations for fiscal federalism and resource control. But Professor Samuel Ibaba of the Niger Delta University cautions that everyone needs to be on the same page for restructuring to be achieved.
A federal system does not make everybody happy all the time. It doesn't. At the same time, it shouldn't make some people unhappy all the time. So it's about give and take. Restructuring should mean redesigning our federal system of government in a manner that will meet the yearnings, aspirations, expectations of every Nigerian. For some, it's resource control. For some, it's devolution of powers. For some, it is state creation. There are different perspectives, colored by ethnicity, religion, and region. And which is why my view is that while it is necessary, because our federal system, the way it runs now is abnormal, it needs to be adjusted. It needs to be reformed. But it's important that everyone must be on the same page. There are fears, there are expectations, there are concerns. Each region, each group, each ethnic group has a fear, an expectation, and a concern. And until you address this, we will not be on a common page. So if you only pull your side and you fail to address the fears of the other group, whose support you need, then you most likely will not achieve your objective.
It will not be out of place to suggest that the idea of restructuring the federation isn't an entirely new phenomenon in the country. It was the late General Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsi who first embarked on the project of restructuring Nigeria when, in 1966, he introduced a unitary system of government through the promulgation of Decree No. 34 of 1966. This was followed by the introduction of a quasi-federalist structure to the creation of 12 states to completely dismantle the remaining vestiges of regionalism by the government of wartime head of state General Yakubu Gowon in the aftermath of the Civil War. The post-war era saw the creation of more states by successive military governments on account of ethno-political sentiments rather than due consideration for good governance. In this lopsided structure, the states became weak and desolate as the center arbitrarily usurped their legislative functions in addition to its exclusive mandate to legislate on defense, immigration, currency, and foreign policy. That the operation of a pseudo-federal system of government has done more harm than good to the system is only stating the obvious. It has encouraged laziness in many states that have long abandoned vast deposits of mineral resources residing in their territories and would rather prefer to join the long queue for federal allocation of revenues derived from crude oil and gas. This phenomenon, according to the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, John Nya Nwodo, is turning the principle of true federalism upside down.
But in 1963, we were exporting 825 tons of groundnut, and today we are only exporting 25,000 tons. We were exporting 250,000 tons of cocoa, but today we are exporting less than 65,000 tons. In northern Nigeria, the groundnuts were growing like pyramids. They have stolen our sovereignty. They have taken Oloibiri to Abuja, and the people of Yenegua have to go and queue up in Abuja every month in order to get a federal allocation, turning the principle of federalism upside down.
From this region, we have lots and lots and lots of reasons to restructure. If it were in the night, if you looked up, you would have seen the gas flare. You will see light in the skies. It's not heavenly party. It is flaring of gas. Our people are going blind because of it, yet the penalty that is paid is shared equally in this country. That is injustice. A few kilometers from here is Ogoni land. We talked about cleanup. Yes, it was flagged up, but that was the end of it. There are so many reasons why over the years the people of the Niger Delta have been asking for justice. Isaac Adakaboro died because of asking for justice. Ken Sarawiwe died because of asking for justice. Odi was leveled because of asking for justice. We are not lunatics. We want justice. That is what restructuring means to us. The pillars of it, the Niger Delta and the South-South, takes fiscal federalism as a major pillar. Without fiscal federalism, Chief Awolowo would not have been able to have free education in the western part of this country. He wouldn't have been able to have all the development they had. We also want to have.
As the protagonists of restructuring rightly submit, Nigeria's unity and corporate existence have been threatened by many challenges, including agitations for self-determination by aggrieved groups in the country. The kernel of their argument is that a restructured federation taking cognizance of the country's diversity will address perceived alienation and marginalization and further douse the current tension and instability in the polity. Already, Nigeria's two main political parties have both warmed up to the idea of restructuring. While some presidential candidates within the People's Democratic Party (PDP) are already promising restructuring, the All Progressive Congress (APC) have had to set up a committee to review the matter. Both parties now seem to believe that some kind of restructuring may bring about more efficiency in the governance of the country by way of power devolution from an omnibus center to the federating units.
Amongst several other reforms that our party is proposing is one of power devolution, so that we can reduce or make a lot of Nigerians, many more parts of Nigeria feel feel that they are in Nigeria and reduce the concentration of power and resources in the center. This is one of the key issues. I mean, some people like to call it restructuring, but our document talks about devolution of powers, yes, which is the same thing, I believe.
Yeah. In spite of the many challenges the country has had to contend with over the years, proponents of restructuring believe that Nigeria is better off united than divided. Their plea is that the government of the day summons the courage to address the national question by reinventing governance in the country and make Nigeria a better place for all. According to Niger Delta leader Chief E.K. Clark, is the only way to get the votes of the Niger Delta people in the 2019 elections.
That whoever wants to be, if there's going to be election in 2019, whoever wants to be the president of this country must be the one who has a sincere mandate saying that he believes in restructuring. Anyone who does not believe in restructuring, we won't vote for that person.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Foremost Niger Delta leader there, Chief E.K. Clark, putting it very, very directly that Niger Deltans will only vote for any candidate that will give them restructuring. And that's how we bring today's program to an end. Politics Inside the Niger Delta will return to you same time, same station next week. My name is Mahmoud Akuga. Thank you all so much for watching, and bye for now.